To the end if the U.S. imposes more tariffs. Joining us now, NBC News business and data correspondent Brian Chung and NBC News White House correspondent Vaughn Hilliard. Vaughn, first to you in Washington. The White House is sharing more details about the negotiations with other nations on tariffs. What have we learned so far?
Right, they're suggesting that officials from Vietnam as well as Japan will be engaging in the days ahead directly with this administration on a potential tariff agreement, a trade deal agreement. They suggested that Giorgia Meloni, the Prime Minister of Italy, is going to be coming to the United States next week to have discussions not only about Italy, but about the EU's trade policies with the United States. And this comes at a time in which the administration says that they're engaged with nearly 70 countries. But also, the U.S. Trade Representative, Jamieson Greer, was met with quite a bit of skepticism, not only among Democratic senators, but Republican senators during a committee hearing before the Senate Finance Committee just today. In one exchange, he was asked about the USMCA trade agreement between Mexico and Canada that was negotiated during the first Trump administration, and he acknowledged it took 2 years to come up with that negotiation. And during the first administration, their negotiations with China almost lasted 2 years as well. So there was some scrutiny here coming out of or directed at the White House about the pace in which they could actually strike these agreements at a time that they're rapidly implementing these tariffs.
Vaughn, thank you so much. Brian, let me turn to you. So China doesn't seem to appear as interested in bargaining and negotiating here, as we've been saying. What happens then at midnight tonight? Not just China, but all these other countries that get these extra tariffs put on. What does that mean for you and me, for all of our viewers, and prices? How fast will that maybe change?
Yeah, well, as you point out, China says that it wants to fight to the end on this, which sounds like we shouldn't expect a de-escalation in the tariff rates that have been ratcheted up just over the past day or so. Right? You know, I had President Trump via Truth Social yesterday saying he was going to ratchet up the rate from the 50% threatened tariff to now 104%. Unless something changes over the next few hours, it seems like that's the effective rate that's going to be affected as of midnight tonight. Now, for every other country, it does sound like a number of them are coming to the table. The White House is saying something like 70 countries have tried to ring the White House to try to lower the tariffs that the U.S. set on them. But again, can anything be done in, let's say the next, 8 hours, 8 or 9 hours? I mean, we really don't know. So I think the question here is, what is it going to take for the Trump administration after the tariffs take effect at midnight tonight to then take them down? And that's going to be the answer to your second part of your question, which is the consumer price aspect of this. There are some estimates this could add hundreds of dollars to the cost of smartphones, tablets, game consoles as well, if you can even get them, because we've heard from some companies saying that they might even have to stop shipments to the United States. Some automakers have suggested that. So there's so many unknowns, which just is kind of part of the story that we've been talking about. This tariff war, we don't know when it ends. It's all about the rhetoric from the White House. We have no more clarity now than we did from the Rose Garden announcement last week.
And there's this question, right? The end game for the White House, they say, is manufacturing in the U.S. Some people are saying, whoa, is that labor really going to happen in America? That's something the White House press secretary addressed today. Job creation, looking at tech, AI. Where do things stand? What is the White House saying?
Yeah, well, look, when it comes to the question of the reason for why we have these tariffs in the first place, the idea is to reshore American manufacturing, which raises the question, even if companies spent the billions of dollars to build factories in the U.S., how would they staff them? Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary, attempted to answer that question earlier today.
The president wants to increase manufacturing jobs here in the United States of America, but he's also looking at advanced technologies. He's also looking at AI and emerging fields that are growing around the world that the United States needs to be a leader in as well. So there's an array of diverse jobs, more traditional manufacturing jobs, as you discussed, but also jobs in advanced technologies.
So the press secretary didn't really say automation, but it's kind of suggested that maybe automation could be the answer to, filling those labor gaps, which is not maybe doing the job of employing American labor in some cases. So, just kind of interesting to see how the White House is squaring those points.
All right, Brian Chung, thanks so much.